Okay. Hi guys, I'm Ryan Moroki. I am the chairperson on the side of management.
And I'm Derek Ball. I'm going to be your employee rep today. So on my...
Go ahead, we got to introduce all of ourselves.
I'm Cole Higgins. I'm on the management side.
I'm Dan Duxton, I'm on the management side.
Matthew Blunt on the management side.
Holly Williams on the management side.
I'm Carly Nolan, I'm on the employee side.
Emily Clark, I'm on the employee side.
I'm Megan, I'm on the employee side.
Okay. So we're here to discuss an incident that happened in our company, Jhsc Incorporated. We have a laser printer that was installed in the Human Resources Department with 4 computer users that have access to it. The imprinter was installed with wires protruding into the corridors, connecting the printer to the other computers in the office. The printer area is a pretty busy place, and we had Paula walk by the wires, and her heel got caught in the wires, and she tripped, hit her head off the desk, and has experienced a back injury. It's led to her taking, I believe, 2 weeks off of work, and she's just started now to be taken back into work with in a part-time.
Do we know if she was running or walking?
I believe she was walking. She started to walk away. She tripped and fell. Yeah.
The printer area is a really busy environment, though, so I think it's almost unavoidable that people are rushing through this area.
Yeah, it's a pretty high traffic area.
It's a high traffic area, that's right.
Okay.
So what we're here to discuss is the tripping hazard of those wires, and try and come up with an idea of how to control that hazard in a way so that another person doesn't trip and hurt themselves in the way that Paula did.
So I think first it's really important for us to look at the causes and contributing factors for this injury and for any potential future incidences. From my perspective as an employee, I think this type of risk can potentially be defined as an unsafe condition for refusal of work under Section 43, subsection 3 of the Occupational Health and Safety Act, because it kind of is the result of inadequate planning, layout, and design.
Is it a new printer?
Yeah, it's relatively new.
It's a relatively new printer.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely important for us to get this under control. We don't want people getting injured. We don't want the increased WCB costs and stuff like that. We definitely want to get it. So what do you guys think? What can we do to sort of deal with the wires and the tripping hazard?
What's our housekeeping like so far? Do we have any housekeeping procedures that we use?
In what sense?
Just basically establishing excellent housekeeping practices to an effective program. It's basically establishing these hazards before they actually happen. Have we done that? Is that in place, or?
As far as like investigating
Yeah,
and sort of looking through the workplace, we do have those in effect. I guess we just sort of missed this one. So we definitely want to look at improving our housekeeping, and when we do those safe walk-arounds to identify tripping hazards, it seems like that's something we missed.
Identify the walkways, make it clear to employees where the walkways are.
Yeah.
Evaluate those hazards.
Can we install more printers? Just to reduce the busyness
I don't think
of one area?
That's our finances right now. Yeah,
Finances,
it'd be with
Too
4
much
people to
money.
1
Yeah.
printer is
Laser printers are
more than
pretty
enough.
expensive. Yeah.
All right, so are we looking at what's our cost budget for this? Because there's many options, right? Like,
Yeah.
and we
moving
mentioned
the wires to me would be the most cost effective, just having a way taped up against a wall so they were
Yeah, so
in the
they're
actual
not-
area where people were walking.
But then we
Would
have-
probably be the most cost
implementing a
efficient.
barrier maybe on the
Yeah.
floor to
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
wires coming up.
Or putting up signs that just warn employees that these cords are around.
But I don't
Potential
see
hazards
cords.
of them,
Well,
right?
if
you
we're-
can't underestimate a person's
No.
ability to see. Even like
Yeah.
putting like cones on top of the wire, we're still gonna be
No.
responsible
We
for
don't-
the trip.
yeah.
We
Can
can't
you not
assume
do
people.
wireless printing?
The wireless, again, we would have.
See,
to-
the wireless
That's
printing,
expensive.
the wireless printing I think would be our most effective option.
Yeah, it's
But I
definitely.
think it would probably be one of the more expensive options.
It's
So
the brand
in
new
terms of a
printer.
cost controlling measure, I don't know if we want to do
Yeah.
that.
But in the long term.
In the long term, it would probably
Yeah.
benefit us.
I think there's the capability to place the wires in such a way that you won't trip on them. Taping them against the wall, I think you might still run into issues bringing them across the corridor.
What about on the ceiling?
On the ceiling's an option. I don't know if we can put it up into
We have it
Yeah,
drop
drop tiles.
ceiling.
the
Yeah.
drop
That could
ceiling,
be good.
yeah. Or even placing it under the carpet, but that might be a cost with ripping the carpet up and putting it back.
Well, you don't even
You don't
have
want it
to
under
do
the
that.
carpet
You could
either.
just put, like the wire covers, which is like the little
The wire
inches,
Yeah.
yeah.
In terms
But-
of the
You can
cheapest,
still trip on those.
Even along the corner where the wall meets the floor, you could run them along.
Run them along, yeah. So like bring them up and around the door frame and then around the
Yeah.
corner.
How about those
and into the
plastic
room.
covers too? They're like $6 just to identify. It also protects the cord from being broken if
Yeah.
anyone trips on it as well.
Yeah,
This
because
is the only problem is across the floor. So it's fine for along the walls, but they
So-
do cross floors.
What's the possibility of putting up more outlets though? Can
Yeah,
you
like
put
how
more
far is
outlets
the
in?
outlet?
Yeah, and we could just invest in more in extension cords so they didn't have to cross the floor.
Yeah.
So that they could just follow the curve of the wall all the
Yeah.
way around.
Yeah, so what you're saying is like if I have the hallway leading to the door here, and then it's gonna come around the hallway, right? And if we have like another door here, I bring the wire up the side, up over the door, around the side, up over the door, around the side to the printer.
Yeah.
So that way, if it's not crossing, it'll
Yeah.
be more wire, and it'll be a bit more of organization, but if you bring it up over the door, you're getting it across the
Minimizes all
hallway,
risk.
and no one's gonna injure themselves.
Yeah.
is there a way that we can just rearrange the workspace so that we don't have to encounter this problem with the wires being in the hallway? Because I think I'm correct in saying that stretching from an outlet on one side of the building across the hallway to another area, why can we not just have the printer over where the outlet starts and reorganize our workspace so that it kind of
So it's
adapts
a
to
more
that?
central area.
It's in a more accessible area where the wires don't have to stretch across the floor. I think in terms of like affordability, like we don't have to spend anything to do that. That's taking a couple hours to move furniture around.
And we could also have the employees involved in that and see, you know, what would work best for the people who are working in that area.
But would it be a point of taking people out of their offices and cramming them into one room to
I
like
think it's a
segregate working
cubicle
room?
environment.
Yeah, pardon?
I think it's a cubicle,
A cubicle environment?
I think.
I think with corridors, offices is implied though.
Yeah, with the corridor, you got a hallway
Yeah.
with a bunch of offices,
Yeah.
and then you've got that one room with your printing and your scanning.
Yeah.
And so,
And what was the, what happened to Paula? How serious were the injuries?
it was pretty serious, she got a pretty drastic back injury.
Yeah, she injured her back.
And like I said, she took 2 weeks off of work, and she's now just starting to come back on a part-time basis, and she's still seeing physiotherapy. So we're looking at the costs of her not being at work, bringing her back in a part-time sense, and the physiotherapy costs.
And how is she emotionally and mentally after the injury?
I think she's okay. We may want to touch base with her.
Yeah, I think that would be good.
What about training our people too? Look, we're looking at, I guess, the printer and the wires. How can we train our people to not run in an office space, not rush, be careful where they're going? Even like different ways to fall, saying we'll put more impact on your shoulder if you do fall, like different ways so she doesn't injure her back like she did, like, rather than just looking at the controls of the printer, we can look at.
I think as far as training, the best way to do it is focus on having our employees identify these hazards. Because I know if I was working in this environment and I saw a wire running across the hallway, I'd feel the need to immediately report that to somebody, because I know in the morning, walking in, I'm not gonna be paying attention. There's a chance I'm gonna trip and hurt myself.
Maybe one thing we could do is implement some kind of policy where an employee from each different department will send in a memo of potential hazards they've noticed over the past 2 weeks.
Just a
or
walkthrough
month.
survey.
Yeah,
Survey of your work
and,
environment.
yeah,
I like that a lot, yeah.
one person from each department is kind of in charge of,
That way we can catch this in the future. 'Cause
yeah,
it's
because,
pretty easy to sort of move the wires and avoid tripping hazards in this specific environment right now. But
Yeah.
my worry is if we don't find a way, like Cole's saying,
yeah,
to sort of
And-
take this and learn from it.
and we're not in your workplace all the time.
So maybe we
Whereas
should
you
do
guys
that
are.
weekly then.
Yeah, so even
I
weekly,
think
whatever
so.
you
Well,
guys think.
weekly
is
or
the
monthly,
best.
I think
I think
weekly is a
monthly
bit
is-
much, I think monthly would work a bit better. Because I
Monthly
think
or
if there was a
quarterly?
walkthrough, I think that the wires probably would
Be
have been caught
eliminated.
beforehand, but I think every week would just.
What about if we do quarterly with anytime there's a new installment?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if there's any sort of work done in your work environment, that representative does a walk around to ensure that there are no
Yeah.
safety hazards as a result of that.
Just
good
as
idea.
another thing too, we should let employees not to carry too much stuff, like coffee cups and files, because that reduces the visibility too.
Absolutely.
Send a memo out about that.
So as far as dealing with this specific hazard, are we all agreed on the wires going up and around the doors and sort of finding a more appropriate way to distribute those wires?
Will we between that and moving the printers?
I think you have to do both. I think moving it would be effective as well as making sure any corners you have to go around, any floors you have to cross are covered.
Yeah.
by walls.
It's either covered or it's out of our way, whichever one I think is, more cost effective.
Cover it and out of the way would
Speaking
probably
today,
be
what
best.
can we do today? Because that it will take, we need someone to come in, move all the wires all the way up the ceiling.
Yeah.
We need something that's gonna work now.
Do we have any, we could get some red tape or, something,
Even zip
Well,
ties to tie them together.
zip ties
keep
to
them-
tie them together.
It's still gonna take some time, because all we can do as a committee is
Make
submit the
recommendations.
report, and then.
We'll see if we can push them behind it in the
Yeah.
meantime.
We have to
So-
talk to
So
our,
immediate.
to the
What
top
about-
management. and-
Yeah.
So maybe we should do in that report, our immediate recommendations and the
Yeah.
long-term
What about
recommendations.
like pylons or just something so that employees can be aware of those?
Like even
Or
some
even
red tape, so you
taping
can
It's just
work
neon
down.
tape.
Neon
Just-
tape would be
I think
better.
some sort of
Right
wire
tape.
sign might be necessary
Yeah.
too, like a wet floor sign kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So
Sure,
like
okay,
pylons,
that's
a
it.
wet sign, and taping them down so you can't get your foot in
Yeah.
under them.
That's
Cover
why the
it so
carpet
you
thing's
can-
good, because your heel doesn't get caught underneath the wire, so you
Yeah.
don't fall right over. So even when those Velcro things that just go over, they're really cheap,
Yeah.
just to make sure that.
And for the long-term recommendations, how long should we give senior management to implement these? What should our timeframe be?
Week or two?
Yeah.
2
right.
weeks?
It doesn't take very much time to
No.
implement something like this.
No.
Yeah. And
So
even
let's
with,
say 2
2
weeks.
weeks.
even with getting them to change the wires, you call the company, they should be in the next day.
Okay,
So I'd say like
so
a week
2
or
weeks
two.
is enough time.
Yeah, 2 weeks
to-
max.
It shouldn't take too long. Okay, and then as far as we're concerned with going forward and avoiding these types of hazards, are we looking at the training of, or bringing in what Cole was talking about?
Yeah.
Do you think that's
Having
the
those
best
monthly
option?
Walkthroughs,
Yeah.
same
Yeah,
thing.
absolutely.
So do we want monthly or quarterly?
Monthly,
I'd say
Monthly, I
monthly.
think.
Quarterly.
Yeah.
And then with a policy that anytime there's an installment.
Yeah.
Anytime you notice anything that's a potential risk or hazard, you notify.
But there should be a follow-up to make sure that that hazard has been.
Dealt with?
Yeah.
We can always do that
Yeah.
as a committee.
Yeah, so anytime they submit one of those hazards, both us and management get to see it, and that way we can make sure that it's been dealt with.
So the walkthroughs, it'll be what, one person from management, one of the employees?
And someone from this committee.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
Do you think?
And I think as the health and safety representatives in the workplace, we have a certain responsibility to organize a presentation of some sort in order to help our employees become more informed about identifying
that's a good
hazards in
idea,
the
Derek,
workplace.
to bring awareness.
So whether we do it or whether we commission someone else to do it from outside the
That's
organization.
supervisors too, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Comes right down to management.
Maybe as management, we could just go around to our teams and talk to our staff. Awareness.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, cool. Good
Thanks
job,
for your
guys.
time.